Hey everyone, Ben Nelson, the Everyday Real Estate Investor here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope you're out there doing the things that you need to do to reach your goals and doing something every day to get closer to that. So, thanks for listening in. Appreciate you listening. Hopefully, you heard last week's podcast. If you did not, please go back and listen to that one. We talked about marketing. I had a conversation with Dan Barrett of AdWords Nerds, and we talked about marketing and the importance of getting your message out there to the world and getting it out there in a way that's effective to your audience and them responding. Because let's face it, we are in the real estate investment business, but we are also in the marketing business, because marketing is how people know we're out there doing what we're doing. And if nobody knows that we are buying real estate, then we are not going to find very much opportunity. So you may have something fall in your lap here and there, but for the most part, if you're out there trying to actually do more, you got to get your message out there. You got to get it out there in a way that is effective, and that it speaks to people in a way that is going to get them to respond. So make sure you check that out. He is his outfit, AdWords Nerds, is set up to do online advertising for real estate investors. That's what he does. That's his target client. And so if you are looking to add that into your business, make sure you check out the site that he set up just for Everyday Real Estate Investor listeners. Go to adwordsnerds.com/everyday. Again, that's adwordnerds.com/everyday. And if you go back to the posts about that episode, you'll see the link in there as well. We are going to talk today, that aside now, we're going to go back a little bit to the philosophical mindset side, just because I have to go back there every once in a while. I always sneak it in. It's pretty much in every episode, if you listen to even the interviews, just because that's who I am. And I think that if you pay attention, you recognize that most successful people think that way, and really debrief and think through things and have a philosophical mindset and try to figure out the right ways to think, the right things to be doing to be more successful. That's how they got successful in the first place. So we're going to go back to that. We're going to talk today briefly about commitment, because to me, this is a huge deal, commitment. And in our society, we have a tendency to be more dip your toe in the water and try things out than actually being committed to something. And this is a big problem when you are trying to achieve a big goal, because if you have a big goal in mind, something that you really want to achieve, whether that's buying a bunch of real estate, it's getting a degree, it's building some other big business, it's having a successful family, anything that's worth going out there to do, and that's going to take a lot of effort. You can't go into it with a dip my toe in the water mentality. It doesn't work. You're giving yourself an out when things get hard. And guess what? Things are going to get hard. That is what happens whenever you're going after something that is worth going after. It's going to be difficult. That's just anything worth doing is not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. There may be times when it's a little bit easier than others. But overall, you're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to run into issues. You're going to run into things that are going to make you question whether this is the right path for you. And if you've already given yourself an out by saying, I'm going to try this out, you're going to take that off. You're going to take that off ramp. You're going to be out. You're going to be done. And I wasn't even thinking about throwing this in there, but it's interesting. And I'm saying this from my, couch as I'm watching it, but we started watching, my family and I started watching the series Alone. And if you haven't seen it, it's where, you're basically put out in the middle of nowhere. I think there's 10 people. We just started the first season, so I'm not sure if it changes or not, but, put out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to survive. You have 10 things that you can bring with you for tools, and that is it. And you're on your own. You have to find shelter. You have to find food, and you have to find water, and you have nobody. And if you get in trouble, you have a satellite phone, and you call, and you're done. And the last one left is the winner. So Survivor-esque, but you're all on your own, and there's none of the like, weird challenges that they do in Survivor, right? Very much like raw Survivor. And it's interesting, and this is, I'm saying this as the person sitting on the couch with my family in my nice warm house and not out in the wilderness with bears and wolves and all that stuff. So there were a couple people that quit very, very quickly, and I would bet almost anything that it all starts in your mind, right? Mentally, you have to decide, what are my outs? Am I willing to quit? And what circumstances am I willing to quit under? Now, to be fair, the one guy that quit the first day or whatever, the second, I guess the next morning, had a bear sniffing around his tent the first night. So I get it. Okay. But the point is that, somewhere in their mind, they had given themselves an out beforehand. And that's anything that you're going out to, the mental aspect is a very important aspect. You have to decide, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. When your life is at stake, maybe that's a different scenario, but I think you get the point. So you have to make sure that your commitment is true. Otherwise, you're going to look for that. As soon as that opportunity is needed, as soon as you think it's needed, you're going to take that out, and you're going to quit. And we see this in marriage all the time. I've been married for 18 years. Have 3 kids. I love my family. I would do anything for my family. Have my wife and I had challenging times? Absolutely. We're in a relationship that we love each other very much. But you butt heads, or you have challenging days or whatever. I mean, it's just part of a relationship. And if we would have given ourselves that permission ahead of time to say, hey, if things get hard, even if you're not saying it, right? Because we don't say it. In our vows, we say, to have and to hold in sickness and health until death do us part, right? That's what we say. And yet we have 50% of marriages ending in divorce. So were those words actually meant? Right. So that's another thing that's something you have to evaluate. People, we make these casual commitments, which there's really no such thing as a casual commitment, but that's how we treat them. And there's going to be times, if you are going into, hey, let's see how this works out. Yeah, we're going to say till having to hold and until death do us part, but we're just saying that because that's what people say, and we'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, we'll just call it quits and we'll move on. And I guarantee you, if that's the mentality, it will end in divorce, because it was never a commitment. There's going to be things that come up that are going to cause tension. There's going to be things that come up that are challenging, that you have to work together to overcome. And if you've made that decision up front, that, hey, when we hit these challenges, not if, when we hit these challenges, we're going to work together as a team to work through them and get to the other side. That is commitment. And you're going to be able to work through it because you've already decided this is what we're going to do. It's not an option to say we're done. This is not working. And so you find a way to get through it, versus if you say up front, hey, yeah, if this doesn't work, we have our option is we're just going to be done and we'll move on. Again, you've already given, there's going to be something that happens in your relationship or in your life that is going to give you that reason that it is not working out. I can almost guarantee it. And what that is, what the level of severity of that situation, I don't know. But if you've given yourself an out, there's going to be an out at some point that you're going to take. And it's the same thing in business. So I'm talking a lot about marriage here, but it's just an easy thing to talk about when you talk about commitment. But in business, it's the same thing, right? You say, I'm committed. I'm going to go buy all this real estate. I'm committed. Well, you know what? It's really easy to do when your emotions are high, when you just got back from that seminar, when you started listening to a bunch of podcasts, you're super excited about it. it's exciting, right? It's a new something new. It's something, you get excited about your future and financial freedom, and all of those things are great. I'm not saying those are bad things, but they're not sustainable either. Even if you love real estate, I love real estate. I have bad days. Okay. If I'm being honest, I have days that are difficult, days that I don't want to do what I'm doing. Not as a whole, but just, something difficult has come up or a challenging situation. I just don't want to deal with it, or I just am not feeling it that day. Um, and that's okay. But if I was not committed to this, and if I wasn't committed to on multiple levels, right? I'm committed to my business itself and having a successful business, but I'm committed to the fact that it provides for my family as well. So, um, but if I wasn't, I could have given up so many times. I mean, lots of times I could have given up. But I'm committed to continuing to grow my business and making it work. And if you don't have that commitment up front, if I didn't have that commitment up front, I would have quit a long time ago. So you have to do that. You have to commit, and you have to fully commit to not giving up, to not giving in, to not having an out. Now, are there times when you actually should pull the plug on things? Yes, but that's after a thought through process. Hey, this isn't working, and there's a real reason for it other than just you're giving up, right? The big thing that I always like to say about commitment, and I probably didn't coin this, I'm sure I did not coin this, is that commitment is doing what you said you're going to do when you don't feel like doing it anymore. It's really easy to say that you're committed to something when you're excited about it, or when you're excited to get married and start your family. You're excited to start this business. It's really easy to say that you're committed. But true commitment is continuing to do the things that you know that you need to do, making the choice to love your spouse every day. It is a choice, by the way. Making a choice to do the things that you need to do in your business, even when you don't feel like doing it. All of those things are their choices, and it's easy. Again, it's easy to do when you want to do it. Commitment is doing them even when you don't feel like doing it. And that is true commitment, is when it's like, hey, I'm having a down day. I don't really feel like doing this. I don't feel like treating my spouse this way, like, in a positive way, because they're saying what I just am not feeling like they're being loving to me today. So I'm just not going to be loving to them back. Right. Or, hey, I don't want to do these things in my business, so I'm just not going to, I'm just forget about it. That's when you have to really put your foot down and say, look, I said I'm committed. I'm going to make the right choices. I'm going to do the right things. And I'm going to continue to push forward, even though it's hard, even though I don't want to. That is commitment. And really, what I've found is the key to, and the foundation of a lot of this is in your mind. It's your thoughts. What are you feeding your thoughts? Because what are you putting into your mind with what you're thinking? Because that is going to manifest in your actions and in your attitude. What you feed your mind, whether that's reading stuff, what you're watching, or just the thoughts that you hold on to, that is going to either harbor resentment and negativity, bad habits, or it's going to go the other direction. It's going to give you the tools that you need to succeed: positivity, love, kindness, all the things that you want to be seeing in your life. And if you are not careful about the thoughts that you harbor, then you could be thinking all of these things. And I'll go back to the marriage example, right? If you're constantly, um, hey, we're people, we're human. I know I've irritated my wife plenty of times, right? So I think it's fair to say I've probably been irritated at her. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this. But no, seriously, we irritate each other once in a while. It's just how it goes, right? We're just, one of us does something, says something, a little eye roll, whatever. Doesn't really matter what it is, but the point is you could take those things and you could harbor the negative feel, like, I can't believe she said that to me, or I can't believe that she's treating me this way, or vice versa, right? And you're like, man, this is not what I want. This is not, and it can lead down a rabbit trail of like, that's how you end up with like, man, this isn't working for me anymore. I don't want this. This isn't what I want. And I want a divorce. Is you have fed those thoughts for a long time. It doesn't start, people don't go from loving each other and being in a loving relationship, in a great marriage, to I want a divorce overnight. People don't go from, you know, from being a great person or even just an okay person to being a serial killer on the street overnight, right? None of those things happen overnight. It's those thoughts that you continue to let stay in your mind and you continue to feed, that slowly lead you down that path of now I went from here to I went there. You hear Darren Hardy and the Compound Effect, and I can't remember who wrote it, but The Slight Edge, and that talks about habits and how habits lead you from, it's not like you gain 200 pounds overnight, right? It's like those slow, like I'm going to eat a cheeseburger today, or you make just poor habits with your health, poor choices with your health, and then over time it makes a big difference, and vice versa, right? You make good choices that don't seem to have a lot of effect. In the short term, it's like, this is not working. I'm working out every day and I haven't gained any muscle or I haven't lost any weight. Well, yeah, but over the course of 6 months or 9 months or a year, it makes a huge difference in your health. And that's the point. And it's the same thing with thoughts and with commitment. And if you are feeding those negative thoughts, it's eventually going to lead you to a place where you're going to quit, you're going to give up, you're going to say, I'm done. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's because you've allowed those thoughts to creep in, and you've continued to push that line of thinking. So if you're thinking that way, make sure you flip that around and know that you have to sometimes force yourself to think the positive thoughts, and that eventually that's going to become habit, and those are going to be your go-to thoughts, and those are going to lead to positive action, positive outcome, which is what we want, right? And one other thing I wanted to point out with commitment is big goals require more commitment, because there's a bigger target that you have to hit, right? A longer road to get there. But they're also more likely to keep you motivated to continue on because, and I'm stealing this from Grant Cardone because I heard him say something similar to this recently. I mentioned him in my last podcast too. Anyway. He said, and it's very true. And he's not the only one that said this, but your small goals. It's like this balance of being realistic, in a sense, but also because you don't want to have a goal that's so big that's like that demotivates you because you don't even have the belief. Now that's a whole nother topic, of expanding your belief in what's possible. So we're not going to get into that. I would argue that if your mindset is right, you could have as big of a target as you want, and it's not going to deter you. But if you're struggling with mindset, you do have to balance that out and make sure that your mindset matches your goal, if that makes sense. But you also want a target that is big enough that it motivates you. Something that's like, I want to increase my income by 20%, this next year. That's okay. Yeah, it's great, but it might be helpful, but it's not going to like kick you in the butt to do that extra stuff, right? Because it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a growth, but it's not that much. It was like, hey, I want to go from making $100,000 this year to $1 million a year. Well, how would your life change if you made $1 million instead of 100,000? It would change a lot, right? So that's motivating, and that is going to keep you moving forward if you have a goal that you believe 100% that you can hit, but that is going to also spur you in the sense of like, this is an awesome goal. This is going to change my life. This is a big goal to hit. That's going to be awesome to hit. So what I want you to do is I want you to figure out what it is that you are 100% committed to, not 99%, not most of the way. What are you 100% committed to? What are you going to, whether it's hitting a goal this year, whether it's something long term, whether it's a relationship. What is it that and it might be something that you thought in this conversation that we're having here that, hey, I thought I was 100% committed to this, but I'm recognizing that I'm not. Maybe you're recommitting and you're saying, yes, I'm going to be 100% committed to this now. So what are you 100% committed to? What is non-negotiable in your life that you are going to make happen, that you're going to stick with no matter what? That's what I want you to decide. One thing that you're 100% committed to. Then I want you to decide, why is that so important to you? Why is it important to be committed to that thing? So you have reason behind it. Same thing with goals, right? We talk about having a why, a big why versus just a big goal. The why behind the goal is what drives the goal. So what are you 100% committed to? Why is it so important that you're committed to that? And what are you willing to sacrifice for it? So after you're done listening to this, we're wrapping up right now. I want you to take some time, even if it's just 10 minutes, sit down and think through those 3 things. Write them down, because when you write it down, it becomes more part of you. You remember it more, you're even more committed to it. And the possibilities of making it happen are even greater. So what are you 100% committed to? Why are you committed to it? What are you willing to sacrifice for it? As soon as we get off here, write those things down, commit 100% to it, put it somewhere where you see it every day so that you can remain committed to it and it stays at the front of your mind, and you're thinking about it all the time. So thanks for listening. Tune in next time. Got another great guest coming on. I'm super excited, and make it a great rest of the day. Thanks so much.